Hi, my name's Ashley Flavin, and today I'll be talking about Huddles and home life, the untold story of coaching with family. I'm currently the head coach at Life University of the women's wrestling program. We're down in Marietta, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, but I generally just say Atlanta because not a lot of people know where Marietta is. I have been the head coach at Life for I'm going into my 9th season, which is really, really exciting. And I have had the pleasure of working with my now husband that entire time. We actually met before we started coaching together, and we were working with Team Georgia. And we really just bonded over just the way we approached wrestling and what we saw. We had both been to the Olympic Training Center over the course of different years. I'm a little bit older than him, so I was there a few years before he was, and just talking through our experiences, we really connected. I guess I should have said my husband's name is Christian. That is who I will be referring to for the rest of the time. And so Christian and I started coaching together with no thought of anything else. I actually had just gone through a divorce, and so I was going through this whole life change of new job, new outlook on everything. And I didn't have an assistant coach. I didn't have a budget for an assistant coach. We're a small NAIA school, and I just said, would you like to help me out? And he said, yeah. So he joined the program, and we just started working together, which was amazing. He lived about probably an hour away from the school, so pretty great dedication to be helping out for free and drive an hour every day. And as we not only became better coaches together, we became better friends, and it just honestly was easier. He would crash on my couch at my apartment, so that way we didn't have to worry about driving 2 hours a day, so he could get to practice. And at some point we realized we believe the same way, we have a passion for the same thing, and honestly, we don't have time to talk to anybody else or deal with anybody else, so we may as well see what happens next. And went and talked to my athletic director because that felt like the right thing to do, because don't want to anger HR in any way, and got some paperwork done and started dating and kind of ended up here. One of the things that I think people, I don't know that they take for granted, but they don't think about until we start talking about it is, so we've known each other for just over 9 years. We've been married, it'll be 4 years in October. But if you do the math, an hourly rate, we actually will be approaching our 9th wedding anniversary really soon, because we spend 20 hours a day, 18 to 20 hours a day awake together. And most couples are maybe together for breakfast, and then they leave for work and they come back and they have a couple hours at dinner, and then the weekends. Not us. It is every moment of the day. We carpool into work together. We are together every single moment. And so actually when we were doing premarital counseling, our counselor looked at us and said, you guys are having the discussions of couples that have been together 5-10 years. And we had already been coaching together at that point for 5 years. We're like, well, yep, we are new as a couple, but we are together every single moment. And so that leads to an amazing familiarity, but it also leads to feeling really claustrophobic sometimes, like you can't get your own space, you can't get your own breath. We even share an office, so we are constantly on top of each other, which is amazing, but at the same time, you have to understand that you need to step back. And even as newlyweds, we were not living the true newlywed life, because we were together every moment. You talk about in marriages as things go on, the little things might kind of grate on you. He's not picking up her socks, or I wish, I don't know what the general female stereotype is, but I always hear about the husband doesn't pick up his socks. And the small things at home aren't really a big deal, but when you get to work and you're in a professional space, it's going to make you irate. It makes you want to tear your hair out. I know that I am somebody that I need people to feel really invested, and I want them to come up with things on their own in the professional space. And at home, I think probably one of the arguments we have the most often is probably one that most people have, and it's so common, it's a meme, it's a reel all the time of, well, what do you want for dinner? Well, I don't know. I don't know what I want for dinner. And so when we get, why don't you just make the decision? And then something that silly goes back and forth. But when we get to work and it's like, well, what do you think? Well, I'm not sure. Well, do you have an opinion? No, just tell me what you want. No, give me some feedback, take some initiative, give me something more. And it's one of those things that it's so small at home, but when you cross over into the professional world, it can make you a little bit crazy. I am definitely not the tidiest one of the two of us. And so while at home, sometimes I'm missing the laundry bin. At work, if my desk is chaotic, Christian is ready to explode because that space doesn't allow him to work the best. And so you have to understand that, you are in a professional space, you're working with each other in a different way, but try not to let those small things grate on you, and then communicate about what they are. I mean, if you just bypass it over and over and over again, eventually you're gonna explode. So you have to communicate early and often about what you need and where the problems are, and just be open to change and to moving forward together and understanding. I mean, he was my assistant coach. He's been promoted to associate head coach. We joke that he got all of the promotion of the title and none of the pay, so that was great. But what was really helpful for us in that way is that we do it as a partnership, even though I still have the final say at work. But he's not a true assistant coach. We really do a lot of things in tandem, but I am still the head coach, and so having that respect, I think, is super important, and the only way to do that is to keep communicating. So it's really important to know and to understand that as his boss, I do still have final say in things, but that's his coworker talking. That's not his wife talking. And so often we'll talk about, like, what hat am I wearing? Who am I right now? He'll say, is this a head coach question, or is this a wife question? And so I think that's really, really important, and has been really helpful for us to try and separate and to try and have that understanding of, I'm talking to you as your coworker, as your partner in this program together. I'm not trying to dictate to you as your wife, or I'm not trying to overstep something as your husband, and trying to really keep to those professional roles. And within that, it can be so hard because we are together every hour of the day. We are together and talking. We have the opportunity to talk about work every moment of the day. We have been blessed where we've been allowed to take our son to work with us for the past 2 years that he's been alive, which is amazing. And so we've had a toddler with us. His name's Kit, and so Kit's been with us in the wrestling room, in the office, doing all the things. And so our lives are so intertwined, but also our lives are so intertwined. And so we have to truthfully, we have to do a better job of dedicating time to our personal life, right? Like, we get in the car and we get home and we're still taking recruiting calls and we're still talking about what's the lineup gonna be, and we have to order this and we have to order that. And then poor Kit has been watching Miss Rachel for 35 minutes, and we didn't know he existed because we're arguing over if we should have gotten, a crew neck or a quarter zip, or what are our uniforms gonna look like, or who's the starter gonna be, or why is this scholarship what it is. And so we really need to take that dedicated family time. And I say argument, it's not an argument per se, but these discussions about work as coaches, even without coaching with your spouse, I know one of the biggest complaints we hear is that the coaches are always about their players, they're always about everything else, and family gets pushed aside. And it's honestly, it can be even worse when you're coaching with your spouse because it's all encompassing. So taking dedicated time to shut off your phone, to say, hey, I can't talk about that right now, we need to save that for the office, write that down so we don't forget it, but this is dedicated time, is super important. On the flip side, it's really easy to bring personal into work, and there have definitely been times in the office where something in our personal life has happened, or there's ongoing feelings, and there's no escape because you're still sitting there with your spouse, and you have to take time to dedicate to work. That it's, hey, we're not going to keep talking about this thing at home. We have to talk about what's happening with the team right now. We have practice in 15 minutes. We have this meeting in 10 minutes. We have to get going. We have to prepare. And don't let don't let everything intermingle so much, because then everything is muddy and you have to keep things crisp or it doesn't work. The other piece of that is coaches are so competitive and take everything to heart. I mean, wins matter to us, losses matter to us, kids graduating matters to us, kids not graduating matter to us. We have dedicated our whole lives as college coaches to our success is based on the choices of 18 to 22-year-olds. And so everything seems so personal, and bad choices can feel like affronts. And just dealing with our athletes, we have to say, this isn't personal, this is their choice. The same thing when you're working, like if you have someone that you work with, your boss that maybe makes a decision for the good of the department isn't against you. It's not an affront to you that the budget didn't raise, they just can't raise the budget. And you don't have necessarily those personal feelings against coworkers. But when you work with your spouse, everything feels personal. Every question feels like, well, why don't you just trust me? Or why don't you just believe me? Or why can't you back me? And so you have to remember that everything's not personal. It's not. And you know, when we don't work with our spouse, you get some time to get away if you're having a problem at home, or if you are really annoyed with your coaching staff, you go home and maybe you vent to your wife or you vent to your husband about, you're never gonna believe what they did today. Like, coach, really, they were late on this paperwork and it put me behind and I'm frustrated. But when I get home, like, Christian, you did the thing. And so like that, gosh, that can really lead to some friction. And that goes back to, you know, what hat are you wearing, and trying to take that hat off and just keep moving. You know, we really have to find a way to, and I mean, we're still working on it. Again, we've been married for 4 years, and so there's still a lot of growth. And I would imagine lots of people say when they've been married for 50 years, they're still learning and growing. But we are still working on that. Hey, I'm very passionate about this. I really believe in this. And just because we don't see eye to eye doesn't mean that we're in a fight or we hate each other or marriage is going down the drain. I mean, conflict is normal, and we all think about conflict generally as something negative, but conflict is just when two viewpoints don't go exactly together. And so workplace conflict is normal, home life conflict is normal. It's how you resolve it. That's really what the positive or negative thing is, and how do you use it to build and grow moving forward. And not taking things personally can be super useful in that way. I think the other piece of the hat wearing and not taking things personal is just knowing what your role is when you work with your spouse and not overstepping those boundaries. We try really hard, and honestly, it's because it's something that's so important to me, and I take it kind of personally as a woman that's in a traditionally male space of college wrestling and wrestling in general. Early on when we were together, when we were coaching together, somebody came up at a tournament and Christian and I were standing there, and he started talking to Christian. He's like, oh, Life, yeah, you guys are down in Atlanta. Would it be possible for me to come down and get there for a camp? And Christian looked over at me and I was like, yeah, I mean, that would probably work. And he's like, yeah, I've been working with this guy. Have you heard of him? And Christian looks at me, I'm like, you do not know who that person is. You have only been in women's wrestling for 20 minutes. You don't know who they are. It's like, oh, you know, we've done such and such. And Christian looks at me, I'm like, yeah, you don't know what that is. And then the guy said again, hey, can I get your number? I really want to set this up. And Christian's like, well, you should probably talk to her because she's the head coach. Now this was 9 years ago, so we've evolved some things, and we've won a couple national titles, so people generally know who I am at this point. But that feeling still is deep in my core of feeling like I have to step up and be big and be seen and be a voice for women in this space. And so for Christian, he has to step back and try to sometimes take his voice out of it, even though he has opinions and his opinions are valid and he's working just as hard as I am. He has to take a step back because he understands that for me, my role of head coach is so important to me and to what I feel like is important for women's wrestling. He's also 6'2", 285 pounds, so he kind of dominates the area anyway. So sometimes he physically will take a step back to let me have the conversation to try and make sure he respects my position as head coach and my role within women's wrestling, and he doesn't want to take over that space because so often in the space we do still defer to men, even though things are changing so rapidly. And I feel like a lot of people are gonna be watching this and say, well, good luck, Ashley. I hope your marriage can last another 20 minutes because that seems like a lot. And it is a lot. It absolutely is a lot. But so often, we hear people talk about, my spouse just doesn't understand. They don't understand what I'm passionate about. They don't care about my job. They don't care about what I'm doing. My coworkers don't ever think about the fact that I have a family too, and I have things that I need to do. And we very much do care about and have the same passions, and we are very much involved in like, hey, we need to take time for our family. And I think it's been very good for us because our graduate assistants, we try to give a day off every week and tell them, hey, you need to, they generally don't have family because they're 20, but hey, you need to take some time for yourself. You need to go ahead and take this week off. Go see your mom, go see your dad, go to your sister's wedding, because we're able to see the time that we need and give it back to them. There's something so amazing and rewarding about being able to share your highest highs, but also your lowest lows with the person that you care about the most in the world. No one's gonna understand what it felt like to win national duels for the first time more than the person standing next to you as a coach, but then also if they're also your spouse, like they see all of it, and not only do they love you and they're happy for you, but they're the coach that's with you and you're celebrating it together. Our team is, I jokingly say we have 45 foster children, but our athletes have become big sisters or aunties to our son. And by the time he graduates, we're gonna have 200 women who are gonna be supporting him walking across the stage and saying, oh, I knew you when you were, just this big, and just gonna be so happy for him. And so there's such an enriching thing there in sharing those great joys. And even the hard things, oh, you lost that recruit. I don't know what the big deal is. Well, he knows what the big deal is because he's also invested in her. Or if there's an athlete who's not doing the right thing and we have to release them, we care about our athletes so much, that hurts me so much when they can't make those choices that lead them to better success, and we have to hold them accountable. And Christian understands because he has that same heart for them, and we're doing it together. So again, there could be a lot of pitfalls with working for your spouse, but I think high risk, high reward, and you can have such an enriched life when your partner cares about the same things that you do. You just have to understand that you can't let it be gray. You have to make sure that you stay crisp together and always keep, just like coaching, try to get better, try to learn, try to grow. So I'm really glad that I got to share my story with you. And I know some of you that might be watching might think, oh, well, I'm not married to my spouse, so this doesn't happen to me. This doesn't impact me at all. But you might be coaching with your brother. You might be coaching against your brother. You might be, coaching with a friend. Your AD might be your friend, and you're balancing what does it mean for them to be my friend, but also my boss. And so I think that, being able to separate things and understand how we do it as spouses is something that could be useful to you with your own personal relationships. And I really hope you're able to take this and do great things. So thank you so much for watching.